Okay, well, it is the 1st of February, and I just finished my last reading review for my January reading. So let's take a look at my reading journal and the books that I read this month. So this is my reading journal. Again, it's an Archer and Olive 8x8 square. And if we want to go ahead and flip it open, here's my January opening spread. Picture of a girl reading. The quote for this month was "Snow is falling and my books are calling," which was so true because we got like 15 or 18 inches of snow between the two snowstorms. It was wild. And there's still snow outside because it will not melt and go away. So on this side I drew out a calendar, and so I marked like when I was reading books, so you can see like how long it took me to complete some of them. So yeah, these circle stickers are from Planner Kate. This is my stamp set, my little stars, keeping the theme going throughout the book. So then we turn over, and so this is books read as well as book stats. So the books I read this month, I read 10 books this month. We had Small Things Like These by Keegan. They Were Here Before Us by LaRocca. LT's Theory of Pets by Stephen King. The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. The Book of Books, which has an author, but it was put out by PBS, a part of their Great American Read. The Walks of Life by and I'm going to say their name wrong, Luing family. It's based off of it's a cookbook based off of their blog, The Walks of Life. Impact Winter by Travis Beacham. Check and Mate by Hazelwood. Tongue-tied today. The Queen by Nick Cutter. And We Shall Be Monsters by Alyssa Wees. The silver is kind of hard to see on camera, but the stars are colored in with a silver pen that I used for this month. So this month was silver. So over here we have my book stats. I kind of cut down, I think I cut out 5 of them that I was following last year. Then I'm just like, no, let's follow the most important ones. So the most important book stats for this month that I'm following in 2025 is I'm looking at my ratings. So this month definitely had more 4 stars. To me, if I'm rating a book anything lower than a 3, why did I pick up that book? I should only be reading books that I enjoy. So if it's, 2, 1, D, and F, why did I pick up that book in the first place? Audiobook length. So I do listen and read at the same time. So I follow along in my book as I'm being read too, because I like the experience. So mostly I'm reading, but a lot of books are in the 8 to 14 hour range. That's kind of my jam. Year published. So again, I'm kind of sticking with things that have been published in the last 5 years. Got a couple that were published before that. Total pages read this month, 2,457. Total minutes listened, 4,482. The book sizes, most of my books are in over 250 pages. Let's see. Book type, I read a lot of novels. Let's see, this month. The book genres, I wonder which one's gonna get the most votes. I read 3 horror books. Let's see, and vampires would also fall under horror, but I give vampires and witches their own category. Mostly adult books. I had 1 YA read. So those are my book stats for this month. So let's take a look at my spreads here. Oh no, I forgot. Okay, so January, I always pull tarot cards to kind of, what's the year ahead going to be like? And so in January, I ran across this tarot readathon, and I was like, hey, I already do that in January anyway. Let's, pull it into my books and my reading. So it was a readathon that was devised by, let me zoom in here on the instructions, Noelle, 7 Pages, and Deja's Book World. These are the instructions. They had like teams who were competing for points, and you got certain books for certain points. I just did it solo, and so you follow the directions. You pick a team. So I was team, I think it was Wands. Yeah, I think I was team Wands, because I'm a Sagittarius. And so that basically means that if I pull a prompt that I don't like, I can change it out with a romance book. So these were the cards that I pulled. I used my Beetlejuice tarot cards. And so I pulled the Magician, the 5 of Wands. It's kind of hard to see them because they're very dark. The 2 of Swords, right? Hold on, let me get the right angle. Yes, Swords. The 6 of Pentacles, the 9 of Pentacles. No, wait. This one's 9. 1x is 9. This one is 2. Right? Hold on, I'm going blind here. Yes, okay. 2 of Pentacles, 9 of Pentacles. And I could have just read that up there, couldn't I? Oh my goodness. Ashley. And so what happens is you look at the card, and then there are different prompts for each card. You can do this. You don't have to have a tarot card deck. You can do this with a regular deck of cards as well. They have instructions of what the equivalents are. And also there are tarot card generators on the internet that you can just click a button and it'll give you a card. So if you wanted to do this as well. This was really fun, actually. So like the prompts and stuff, I wrote them down because I knew I'd forget. So the prompts were, let's see. The Magician was read a story with magical elements. So I read We Shall Be Monsters, which is a fantasy fairy tale-esque story. We'll talk about that in a minute. B was read a book that features competition or conflict among the characters. And so I read Check and Mate, which is about chess tournaments. This one was read a book with multiple point of views. The Midnight Guess, every chapter is a different point of view. So you had like, I think it was like 4 point of view characters, 4 or 5. Hold on. There was Franny, 4. There were 4 point of view characters. And then this one was read a book you received as a gift or a library book. So that was one of my library holds that came in. This one was read a book where the character faces a big decision. So Impact Winter is post-apocalyptic vampires. And you know, this community is living in this like fortress, and the vampires are outside the walls, and you know, they're hunkered down and stuff. And it's about 2 sisters. One sister's a vampire hunter. The other sister, she wants to know what life is like beyond the walls. So that's a character facing a big decision. And then lastly, Stephen King here. Read a book with just one main character or a very small cast of characters. So this was told from the point of view of a guy, and he's talking about his friend LT. So that was a very small cast of characters because we had LT, our protagonist's wife, and then LT's wife. So it was a very small cast. I really enjoyed this. This was fun. I like doing these little reading games. It definitely stretches and makes you read things that you normally wouldn't read. For example, this was definitely one that was kind of on my radar, but I was like, yeah, I don't know. And so it fit the prompt. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I ended up liking it. So let me put my little thing back in the pocket here. So I made these little pockets very easy. I just cut out a square paper and put glue around 3 sides. Turned out really good. I don't do these readathon games every month, but I thought this one would be cool to start off the year. So here we go. Here are our first 2 book reviews. So this is Check and Mate, which was my book of the month. It was my favorite read of the month. And so I gave it a gold border, and I gave it one of these. I found these not star, but like gold labels. And so I thought, oh, I'll put that on my favorite read every month. Last year I did like little star stickers that look like medals, but I kind of like that. It looks really cool. So there's that. And then over here was Impact Winter, which again was about vampires. So Check-in Mate, 5-star read for this month. My first Hazelwood. It won the GoodReads 2024 last year, 2024. Yeah, I need to no, it was 2023 that it won 2023 it won best YA book. It doesn't, I know it falls under YA, but it did not feel like a YA book. It felt like an adult book, not based on content. It didn't have much like content, adult content, but it definitely had like the quality of the writing and the way the characters were built up and all of that was very much adult book standards, not YA book. YA books are kind of light, simple, a little simple. This one was definitely much more complex. The characters were more complex, the storyline. We had Mallory, who is our lead character. She used to be a chess champion, trying to do the chess competition bracket circuit. But then she quit chess after her father and mother split up, and then her father died. So her father was a chess master, grandmaster, and so she got very against chess. But her family starts getting in financial troubles, and she gets into this one chess tournament just for the prize money, and gets offered a fellowship to study chess and compete. She'd be sponsored. And so she starts getting back into the chess circuit. She meets Nolan, who is the current #1 seed, I guess, of chess. I guess we'd call him a seed. Or is that tennis? Oh dear. But anyway, he's the top ranking chess player in the, chess thing. And they start running into each other at these competitions. And then he asks her to help him study for this big tournament. And so they start studying together. And then through the hands of fate, she ends up being invited to compete to become champion of the world, basically. So, complications. But anyway, I really, really liked it. It was a good, fun read. I couldn't put it down. The writing was very smooth. Like I said, it had quality. I really, really enjoyed this book. I definitely want to read some more of Hazelwood because of it. Impact Winter, I already kind of talked a little bit about the plot. I enjoyed it. I would say if you like 30 Days a Night, Underworld, The Walking Dead, you're definitely going to like this book. It's a comic book, graphic novel. They turned it into an audio drama. So it's a full cast recording with sound effects, the whole 9 yards. It sounds like a radio play, like you're listening to like the War of the Worlds or something. It was so good. The art in the graphic novel it's okay. I mean, it's not, the best or not the worst. It's standard comic book art. It was put out by the same comic book company, Skybound, that did The Walking Dead. So quality team behind it, behind the writers and the art. The audiobook was, like I said, fantastic. The acting, the narrators were very good. Definitely got pulled in and felt like I was in the world with them. So highly recommend. So these were the other 8 books. I kind of wanted to just, the way I figure 5-star books get the scrapbook treatment. They get the art and all that kind of stuff. Other kind of books just get a review, just to save my sanity. So small things like these. Claire Keegan, it's about the Irish laundries that were run by the Catholic Church that if you were an unwed mother, you got sent to one of these laundries to have your baby, and you would work in the laundry. This guy, our protagonist, is delivering coal on Christmas to this place, and he sees one of the girls being mistreated, and so it's kind of like he's got to make a choice. And it's a short novella, but powerful, very powerful. It definitely got me interested in the subject, and I wanted to read more about that moment in history, because she did base it off of some real historical events that happened in Ireland. Then we went to They Were Here Before Us. This was a novella, but it was interconnected short stories. And so you had to read all the short stories to find to see the whole plot. This was really gory and really unsettling. And I just, there was a couple of points where I was reading it and I was like, I need to skip this page because it is very unsettling. It was themes of animal cruelty, animal abuse, just gore for gore's sake, I think, because it really had nothing to do with the plot. It was just shock. Ultimately, the book was about, it was commenting on how man is the true animal. And so every story was about an animal or bug, and how man was truly awful. And it could have been a really good analysis, like a good author comment on this subject, but it was so gory, it overshadowed the content, I think. And if you're into that really body horror, this would be okay, I guess. But I felt like it had a really good message, but why do we need a woman cutting off her arms? Like, what does that say to your theme? I gave it 3 stars because it had real potential. It had some good writing in it. It really truly did. Eric LaRocca is a strong writer, but why are we mistreating a chimpanzee this way? What is the point of this? Like, I just couldn't. I couldn't get it. LT's Theory of Pets was awesome. So it was a short story that got published, and then it got republished in Everything's Eventual. And I listened to the audio of it because it was like an evening with Stephen King, and he read the story. So it was like a Stephen King performance, and he just made the characters come alive, because the way his books are written and the way these characters were written, they're so New England, and he is so New England. And so when he's reading it, it's those people. Like, he was the lead character. I really liked this book. It was funny. The horror, quote horror, if you want to call it that, was tacked on at the end. You didn't really need it. The story itself stood on its own. Like, we didn't need to know what happened to his wife. The mystery of her leaving him was enough, I think. But, Stephen King's got to put a little stamp of himself on everything. I thought this short story was hilarious. There were some parts that were talking about, like, his basic thing was that a pet owner, the pet starts to take on the characteristics of the owner. And so this husband and wife, they are not doing too good. They have a dog and a cat. And the dog likes the wife, the cat likes the husband. And the wife can't stand the cat because it likes the husband, and the husband can't stand the dog because it likes the wife. And so we've got these dynamics of, like, the dog and the cat, and hating on the humans that are opposite of the one that they love. And then you've got the husband and wife who are sniping at each other. It was so funny. Like, I really, really enjoyed this short story. This was a great list if you want a list of like 100 best books that you need to read. And it gave background into each one of the little books. And it also had a lot of side things that were like other books published during this time. Or these are awesome first lines from books. And, other little tidbits, sidebar stories in it that went along with the books. I thought it was great. I also thought it was cool that they had some modern things in there because Jason Reynolds made the list, Stephen King made the list. Horror writers don't usually make lists like this because horror literature is considered lowbrow, even though I think it is highbrow because it comments on humanity more than I think other books do. Because, what's more human than fear? So I thought this was a great list. Definitely get it, flip through it, see what books you've read, what books you haven't. I've read a lot of the books on this one. But I did walk away with a list of about 10 that I was like, I've never read those and they sound good. So very helpful little nonfiction guide. So The Walks of Life by the Lung family. I cannot say their last name. It's right there. It's based on their blog of the same name, and it's just Asian food and how they make it. And also, this book was so cool because it was part memoir, part recipes. So you got some backstory in the family. You got backstory of techniques of how to make stuff, like the traditional way. It was good. Good book. I've made a couple of recipes. I really liked them. I've got a bunch more flagged. I ended up downloading a pirated copy of the book so that I could keep flag like the recipes. But I got this from my local library, and it's a gorgeous book, gorgeous cookbook. So yeah, and it also the other thing is it has QR code links. So there are QR codes on certain pages that you can go to, and it'll take you to how to make that dish online. The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, mystery fiction, very British. Oh my lord, was this a very, very British book. It was a cozy mystery. I felt like I was reading a Midsummer Murders episode. I really liked this book. I liked her writing style. I will definitely pick up another Lucy Foley. This book here was about, these characters were at the opening of a spa resort, and a mystery guest comes, and the past comes back to haunt them. But it also had a bit of local folk lore, urban legend mixed into it. And there was a group called the Birds and the Bird Legend, and it starts getting all mixed up into this world. And it was a good book. In the middle, there was a little bit of slowness, but you needed that because you needed the background to build up to the ending, which was awesome. I absolutely loved the very ending in the pub when the bartender was like, man, there's a lot of old birds in here tonight. The irony, I was just like, yes. Oh, that was so good. And you close the book and you're like, damn, that was a good book. That was a good mystery. So I would definitely recommend Midnight Feast. The Queen, holy crap. This was incredible. Okay, so Nick Cutter, this is my first Nick Cutter. He's got a handful of other books out. Most notably, apparently, is The Troop, which is my next book. I've got it on hold at the library. I'm just waiting for it to come in. He is a voice in modern horror. Oh my goodness. So The Queen is about Margaret. She's a teenage girl. Her friend Charity has gone missing. She's been missing for several days. They don't know what happened to her. Margaret and Charity are best friends. They call each other Cherry and Plum. So Cherry is Margaret, Plum is Charity. And so Margaret falls down this rabbit hole trying to find her friend. And spoiler, I have to spoil this a little bit. There are these bees, people, and they're not, you get this in the first opening chapter, so I'm not really spoiling it that much, but there's been some scientific experimentation mixing people and bees. And you get this in the very opening chapter, so I'm not giving any big spoilers, because the opening of this thing was just, whoa. And so you get hooked right in those first couple of chapters. You're just like, holy shit, where is this book going? And I couldn't put it down. I devoured this book. I had to literally stop myself to digest what I was reading because I was reading it so fast because it was just so good. Very engaging, very action packed. There are definitely spoilers in this. I'm sorry if you read it. But it was just so damn good. And the ending. Okay, so this is more of a commentary on horror literature in the modern age right now. I'd say the last 10 years. Horror books from the last 10 years have this bleakness to them. This themes of what is human, what is humanity, what will happen to me if I lose my humanity. These are like the major themes of, I think, all of the big horror books of our last 10 years. And they leave you with this bleak emptiness afterwards because the horror is like, it's not like, oh, there's this monster, let me go kill this monster. These characters killed the monster, but what they're left with is just devastation and emptiness. And you feel so sorry for these characters after they've experienced the horror. It's like, how will they ever be humans again? And I really liked the Queen because the Queen's epilogue had like a newspaper article about the character's aftermath, and they also had like a character 10 years later writing an essay and talking about it. And so you get a little bit of a, where did they go from here? But the very ending, the very last paragraph, oh, it hits you hard. It was so good. Nick Cutter is definitely a name to watch, I think, in authors, in horror literature. He's, you know, they talk about, okay, Edgar Allan Poe, Love Child, then you have like Stephen King and Peter Straub, then you have what? And I think Nick Cutter is the what. Nick Cutter is the what. I think he's the next generation of the greats in horror literature. So definitely check out The Queen. It is not for the squeamish. There is body horror in this, but it handles it in differently than Eric LaRocca's They Were Before Us. Eric LaRocca's body horror was for shock, and it was like, why the hell are you doing this? What is the point of this? Whereas the Queen's body horror was very well done. It was meant to be scary, but not, I'm shocking you, I want you to be grotesque, I want you to be violent. No, it was, this is the situation, this is what's happening to this character. It reminded me a lot of like American Werewolf in London, how that was the first time you really got to see a werewolf transform like that on screen. And so that body, it's like in that era of body horror. You know what I mean? It's not, or like The Fly. It's like that kind of body horror. It's not horror for horror's sake. You know what I mean? It's not Saw. It's meant to invoke, but not, you know what I mean? It's not meant to just be there, just to be like, oh, let's cut off an arm. Like, no. So I definitely, so good. Like, it was so close to being a 5-star though. Like, it was right on the edge. And the only thing that kept it down was there was one trope that they used in it that I was like, really? Why are you doing this trope? This is such a cliche. Like, so there was just one thing that really hurt it, I think. But otherwise, it was so good. Last book I read in January, We Shall Be Monsters by Alyssa Wise. Anyway, it's a fantasy novel about a mother and a daughter. Mother goes missing, daughter wants to find her. Mother went missing into fantastical fairy world. Daughter's like, oh shit, how do I break this curse and get my mama back? So the themes though in this book were very much examining the relationships between mothers and daughters, because there's also a grandmother. And so you get to see like the relationships between them what you would go through to save someone you love, basically. I liked it. It was like what is the one with David Bowie, Labyrinth? It reminded me a lot of that one. It reminded me a lot of that one, actually, but it was its own thing. Very intriguing. It keeps you in the story. You keep wanting to read more to find out more what happened, where the curse came from, why, and then, will she save her mom? So fantastical world. Did have some scary elements, did have a couple areas of horror, so I was just like, ooh, goody. But I liked it. It was a good fantasy story. It was definitely more high fantasy than I'm used to reading, but I liked it. It was good. So out of the 10 in January, I say I would definitely recommend, obviously, my book of the month, Checkmate. Give Impact Winter a listen. Give Stephen King's LT Theory of Pets. Listen to him read that. That was fantastic. And do not miss The Queen. The Queen was very, very good. So, yep, that's January. We'll see where February takes me. I definitely have a very thick 700-page book sitting here that is on my to-read list in February. So thanks for following along, and I hope you have some happy reading as well.